Hey guys, this is Jay in the Backyard Woodworks. Today, giving you a little shop tour how I ended up in the backyard in a woodshed. So a few years ago we decided to buy a house. We had been renting too much. We found this nice little neighborhood, and the house we wanted actually did have a garage on it, which was great. It was a place for me to move into and do woodworking and hone my skills in that area. Once I was in here, I realized it was too cold out here and my stuff was freezing. It was just too awkward to work out here in the winter months when I actually had time because the grass was dead out front. So, a friend of mine helped me insulate the garage. We spent roughly $300 to $400 putting insulation up in this garage. And I started putting sheetrock up, but that soon ended. We had a child on the way. The extra room needed to be converted into a child's bedroom, and the extra stuff, as you can see behind me now, came out of that spare bedroom and ended up here in the garage. At the same time, I realized that I really needed a place that was secure, that the children couldn't get to, enabling me to lock up the wood shop when all the power goes. So we bought a woodshed. So once we bought our shed, we needed a way to get it into the backyard. And I found this nice little spot here coming from the neighbor's yard, and we cut off a couple of fence posts low to the ground, but kept the inner sides of the fence intact. The two longer poles there are inserts that slide down into the poles that are still in the ground. That allowed us to roll the fence back, but still not have to replace the entire fence since they were cemented in. So the fence was moved out of the way, and the shed came across the backyard and got slid into its place now where it's residing in the backyard. So we have the shed here in this nice spot. I knew I needed power out here, but I wasn't sure how I was going to get it here. Turns out I had to dig a trench all the way across the backyard and then hire some electricians to come in and put electrical in here. Now, I ran 60 amps of power out here from the shed, from the garage to the shed. I've got 4 light switches. One runs outside lights around the shed that actually has motion sensors on it, so that when I come out to the shed in the middle of the night, the lights will come on for me, and or when I'm returning to the house after being in the wood shop for a long time. I've got another light switch here that runs the fan. If I turn it on now, you'll probably hear it. It's pretty loud. Now, it's not a professional fan by any means. It came from an old blueprint machine, and it was the hood, it was the motor that ran the hood exhaust. So at this point, I have a nice fan that you can see over there in the corner. This little thing. Just a regular household filter goes across the front of it and keeps it nice and clean. It does a lot of good particle removal, and I'm happy with it. I've got a light switch, and I've also got another 20 amp circuit that runs the outlet for my lathe, just to keep accidental hands from turning the lathe on and getting sucked into it. We don't want that. So at this point, I was working in the shed successfully, but I realized it too was cold and I needed to put insulation up. So I started putting insulation up. And as you can see, it's not quite finished, and the ceiling's not tackled at all. So that happens to be my next big project that needs to happen. I was in the process of researching what makes a good blog setup, and I came up with the need for having a white wall behind me and a lot of lighting on top of it. So now, I have a nice bright setup where you guys will be able to see myself on these videos much clearer, perhaps even more interesting. But for overall, I've still got a lot of work here left to do, and I think the next best thing for me to do is to move some furniture out of the way that's up against the wall and put in some sheetrock and or 1/4 inch plywood so that I can have mounting surfaces on the wall, and then I can paint it and it'll be white permanently. Thanks for watching, guys. stay tuned as to find out what else I really do next down here.